Mr. Ron Aledo is a former U.S. military officer, former CIA contractor, and former intelligence and operations officer. And at the Pentagon, he's currently the chief executive officer of Miami Intelligence Agency. He's now joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Aledo, welcome to WION. Mr. Belousov, who is the Putin's defense chief, cited a NATO summit in July and military doctrines in the U.S. and other NATO members as evidence that Moscow had to prepare for direct conflict with a more assertive NATO, as he calls it, in the coming decade. What's the implication of this statement by Russia?
Well, basically the implication is that Russia at the strategic level obviously is working on a contingency plan. They are working on a long-term contingency plan that have the possibility or have the real possibility of a conflict, direct conflict with NATO. Now, he was talking about 10 years from now. He was talking about long term. But obviously, the Russian military has many plans, many contingency plans, short term, medium term, and long term. The immediate term is to finish or end the war in Ukraine with Russia in a good standing. Obviously, they are also ready for a conflict with NATO at the short term, just in case NATO sends troops to Ukraine, to Western Ukraine, like President Macron of France has said many times. But obviously, he was also talking about long term. What happened if after the war in Ukraine, what happened if after this is settled, 5-10 years from now in the future, we see ourselves in a direct conflict with NATO. So he was talking a long-term contingency plan 10 years from now.
Mr. Aledo, the minister cited U.S. plans to modernize its nuclear forces, the opening of a U.S. missile defense base in Poland, new NATO combat readiness plans, and also plans announced at the NATO summit to deploy U.S. medium-range missiles in Germany by the year 2026. If the West is indeed planning all that, what's stopping Russia from reacting?
Well, I think that Russia will not stop at all. And nothing is stopping Russia. Russia is increasing the size of its military to a record level in decades. Russia is increasing its budget, its military budget, to over $145 billion. That's a record level for Russia. And Russia is also modernizing their missile force, their strategic forces, they call it. We just saw a few weeks ago this new intermediate range missile, hypersonic missile that goes Mach 11 times the sound of speed, the speed of sound, I'm sorry. And Russia is modernizing its force, is getting a huge number of new recruits, volunteers every month, between 20 and 25,000 per month. So Russia is increasing the size, is increasing its capabilities, modernizes its missile capability. So Russia is getting ready too. So what we see here is a arms race in both sides, and both sides are getting ready for future contingencies. And Russia obviously have a contingency plan, long-term contingency plan. What happens if we go into a direct confrontation with NATO? So both sides are doing the same thing. They're preparing for a confrontation in the future.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. I've been talking to Mr. Ron Aledo, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Miami Intelligence Agency. Mr. Aledo, thank you for your time and for talking to us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.